So, what if I told you that the things you consider to be like complete and utter opposites?
Oh, like hot and cold?
Yeah, hot and cold, or even, love and hate. What if they were actually the exact same thing?
Right, just operating at different temperatures or
Right. Just
frequencies.
sliding along a single spectrum.
It's crazy because it completely upends how we look at the world. I mean, we're
Right.
so conditioned to see opposites as these enemies locked in an eternal battle.
Yeah.
Good versus evil.
Light versus dark, us versus them. We treat them like warring factions, basically.
Yeah, we really do.
But today we're doing a deep dive into Chapter 3, which is called The Spectrum of Opposites, and that's from the third book of the Diamond Quintessence series.
It's a heavy one.
It is, yeah. And our core mission for this deep dive is to show you how the duality in your life, like all those opposites you constantly wrestle with, isn't actually a source of conflict at all.
Right, it's not a bug, it's a feature.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is a perfectly tuned mechanism for self-mastery and ultimately profound transformation.
But to really grasp this mystical, energetic concept, we actually have to start super grounded.
Yeah, with the practical realities of everyday life.
Right, because before we can even touch on the alchemy of the human mind, we have to look at how opposites function when you're just, doing your daily chores.
Okay, let's unpack that. The source material introduces this concept called the theory of opposites.
Yeah, within the diamond process model.
Right. And the foundational idea is that one facet of any action you take inherently provides the exact criteria for its opposite.
So let's think about a basic project at your job, or honestly, even just painting your living room.
Okay.
The moment you define a task, say you decide you want to paint the walls a specific shade of blue without getting any on the ceiling.
A noble goal.
Right.
Huh?
But that very definition gives you the exact criteria for your assessment later on.
Oh, I see. Did you achieve the blue? Is the ceiling clean?
Exactly. The beginning naturally writes the rules for the end.
So it's basically like being an architect.
Yeah, how so?
Like the initial blueprint you draw literally writes the inspection checklist that the city is going to use to judge the final building. Your first action writes its own report card.
That analogy hits the nail right on the head. And this continues around the entire cycle of any project. The planning you do provides the criteria for your reflection after the fact.
Yeah, and what you choose to develop, like the specific resources and skills you gather, dictates the specific lessons you're going to walk away with.
Exactly. And the most striking example from the text is actually about character.
Oh, yeah, this part was fascinating.
It argues that true character, so your beliefs, your values, your attitudes, is only genuinely revealed during its polar opposite, which is implementation or the actual doing.
Right, because you don't actually know someone's character when they're sitting safely in a coffee shop talking about their grand plans.
Nope, anyone can talk.
You see their character when they're in the trenches, doing the hard work, facing unexpected obstacles.
Exactly. The intention and the action are just two ends of the same pole. And if we zoom out, we can scale this exact same mirroring effect up to a societal level.
Right, what the text calls the relationship of spheres.
Yeah. It argues that a society's politics, which represents its abstract vision, always manifests directly in the physical environment, which is the context.
Meaning, if you live in a city with a deeply corrupt, broken political system, you don't just feel that corruption in some abstract philosophical way.
No, you literally see it.
Yeah, it manifests physically as collapsed infrastructure.
Yeah.
Massive potholes in the roads, a failing power grid.
Right. The physical environment is the mirror reflection of the political vision. They literally cannot exist independently of one another.
It's all connected.
It is.
Yeah.
And similarly, look at economics, the sphere of exchange, so time, money, resources.
Right.
The text argues this reflects directly in the social milieu, which is the sphere of human evolution.
So an economically robust and fair society will physically manifest a social environment that is highly evolved.
Yeah. Exactly. Widespread access to comforts, education, innovation.
But an economic system based on scarcity or extraction and hoarding, that manifests the opposite.
A stressed, stagnant, volatile social fabric.
Yeah. The spheres are constantly holding a mirror up to each other.
So if this mirroring effect works in basic project management, and it scales perfectly to the macro level of human civilization.
We have to assume we're looking at a much deeper universal law.
Exactly. Which brings us to the ancient philosophies that recognized this exact fractal pattern thousands of years ago.
Right, we're talking about the teachings found in the Kabbalion.
Yeah, the teachings of Hermes Trismegistus.
And it's important to note here for the listener that these Hermetic principles aren't some modern internet age fad.
No, not at all.
They form the foundational bedrock of many of the world's major religions and esoteric traditions. They observe that the universe operates on specific, immutable laws.
And the text aligns these 7 Hermetic principles directly with the Diamond A-Spire framework that we've been referencing.
Which, before we go further, it really helps to visualize what the A-Spire actually is.
Good point. Imagine a vertical diamond shape.
Okay.
It's a geometric map used to chart human consciousness, action, and energy, with different levels of awareness moving from the bottom point up to the top peak.
And mapping these 7 principles onto that diamond is where the perspective shift really happens.
Oh, absolutely.
The first is the principle of mentalism. The all is mind.
Yeah, this principle suggests that the entire universe, the reality we experience every second, is essentially a massive mental creation.
And the implication for you, the listener, is massive.
Because you possess a mind, you have the profound ability to co-create with the universe.
Right. You aren't a passive observer trapped in a physical box. You're an active participant in a fluid mental construct.
Exactly. Then we have the principle of correspondence, which is famous for the phrase, as above, so below.
Which is pretty much just a more mystical way of stating what we were just talking about with the spheres and the architect's blueprint.
Yeah, it means that patterns repeat fractally across different levels of reality.
Right.
By understanding the laws of the physical world like gravity or momentum, we can reason from the known to the unknown, applying those exact same mechanics to the mental or spiritual planes.
Because it's all a single interconnected system.
Precisely. Which naturally brings up the principle of vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates.
But the text applies this to the top of that diamond framework in a way that honestly takes a second to wrap your head around.
It really does. It describes this massive spectrum of universal vibration. Let's break that down.
Okay, let's do it.
Gross physical matter. So, the device you're listening on right now, the ground beneath your feet, is vibrating so slowly that to our limited human senses, it appears to be completely solid.
Right, completely at rest.
But if you zoom in with a microscope, it's a chaotic whirlwind of atomic motion.
And then, at the absolute opposite end of that spectrum, at the pinnacle of the framework,
What a text calls the blue diamond, representing spirit.
right, the energy is operating at what's called a 1,000 scalar frequency.
Now, a scalar frequency isn't like an ocean wave that travels from point A to point B.
No, it's a standing field of energy.
Exactly. And at this 1,000 level,
Yeah.
it is vibrating so intensely and so incredibly rapidly that it also appears to be completely still.
Like a ceiling fan.
Yes. When it's off, it's completely still.
But when you turn it on the absolute highest, most powerful setting, the blades move so fast they blur into a solid disk, and it looks entirely still again.
Exactly. The absolute lowest vibration and the absolute highest vibration both look identical to the naked eye. They both present as perfect stillness.
That is wild. I love that visual. So from vibration, we move to the principle of rhythm, the pendulum swing of life.
We all intimately know this feeling.
Oh, yeah. The emotional highs and lows.
The feeling of being incredibly motivated one week and totally burnt out the next.
Yeah.
The Kabbalion teaches that this rhythm isn't a personal failure. It is a universal law. The tide must go out just as it comes in. But the ultimate goal of someone mastering their own mind is to consciously neutralize this swing so they aren't violently thrown around by the pendulum.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah,
We're talking about universal laws of physics, but applying them to human emotions?
right.
So if I know the law of gravity, I can build an airplane to defy it. But how do I actually stop myself from crashing emotionally when the pendulum inevitably swings back from a massive high?
Wow.
Are we just supposed to become emotionless robots?
No, you don't become a robot and you cannot destroy the pendulum.
Okay.
The law of rhythm will always exist. The trick is changing where you stand in relation to the pendulum.
What do you mean?
Imagine standing on the floor while a giant wrecking ball swings back and forth.
Okay.
If you stay on the floor, you get hit.
Obviously.
But if you raise your consciousness to a higher mental plane, like if you climb a ladder, the pendulum still swings, but it swings beneath you.
Oh, wow. So if you get a terrible performance review at work, the lower plane reaction is to let the pendulum hit you.
Exactly. You get defensive, angry, your self-worth plummets.
But climbing the ladder means observing the event objectively. You feel the disappointment, but you recognize it as just a point of data on the swing, not a permanent state of being.
You find a point of poise. You experience the shift without being emotionally devastated by it.
That makes a lot of sense.
And just to complete the foundational principles quickly, we have gender,
Right.
which is the understanding that masculine and feminine principles are present in all creation.
And the text is clear. This isn't about biological sex, right?
Correct. It's about the energetic properties of assertion and receptivity, which are necessary across physical, mental, and spiritual planes for any true creation to occur.
Okay, so knowing these laws exist is one thing. But the real meat of the source material is how you actively use them.
Yeah, how you actually climb that mental ladder when the wrecking ball is coming right at your head.
Exactly. This leads us directly into the core concept of mental alchemy.
Mental alchemy is entirely dependent on the next Hermetic law, the principle of polarity.
The idea that everything is dual, everything has poles, extremes meet.
Right. The text asks, where does heat end and cold begin? Or where does dark end and light begin?
You can't point to a specific line on a thermometer where hot magically turns into a completely different substance called cold.
Exactly. They aren't different things. They're the exact same thing. Thermal energy just measured at different degrees on a single scale.
Now take that undeniable physical reality and apply it directly to the mental plane.
This is where it gets good.
The principle states that love and hate are not two separate warring entities fighting for control of your brain.
No, they are the exact same emotion, the exact same base energy, simply separated by degrees on a mental scale.
And this is where the alchemy comes in, right?
Yeah. Mental alchemy, or the art of polarization, is the conscious, deliberate act of transmuting lower mental vibrations into higher ones.
It's the ability to grab your internal thermostat and slide the scale from hate up to love, from fear up to courage.
Which is an incredibly disruptive concept for a lot of people, because it connects to the final Hermetic principle, cause and effect.
Right.
According to the text, the vast majority of humanity operates entirely as an effect. They're obedient to their environment, their genetic heredity, and deeply ingrained societal mental models.
Yeah, the text specifically calls out this 4,000-year-old famine or scarcity mindset that we've all inherited.
We all have it.
Our ancestors survived brutal conditions by believing there isn't enough to go around. So we have to compete, hoard, and fear our neighbors.
And that wiring is still right there in our brains. The text describes humanity as operating like pawns on the chessboard of life.
Because when you live in chronic fear and scarcity, your nervous system is constantly reacting to external forces.
Exactly. You are the effect of the economy, the effect of political news, the effect of someone cutting you off in traffic.
So true.
The entire goal of mental alchemy is to understand these laws of vibration and polarity and to raise your consciousness so you become a mover.
You become the cause rather than the effect. But I have to pause here because this sounds great in a studio, but let's talk about real life.
Let's do it.
You're saying we can just slide the scale from hate to love, but we are biologically wired for anger when we're threatened.
Yeah.
If someone betrays me, I don't view my anger as just a different temperature on a mental thermostat that I can cheerfully adjust.
Right.
The anger feels necessary. It feels protective. How do you just override human biology?
It's a vital question. It is simple in theory, but incredibly difficult in practice, precisely because of that biological survival programming you just mentioned.
Right.
It requires absolute, unflinching self-awareness. Let's say someone does betray you. In that microsecond, you feel the heat of anger.
Obviously, yeah.
The alchemical process requires you to stop and realize that the intense energy you are feeling is essentially a severely low, distorted vibration of passion or even love for yourself.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you don't suppress the energy.
Never suppress it. You use it. You have to detach from the ego's addictive desire to be righteously angry and consciously apply your will to raise the frequency of that exact same energy block.
You transmute it.
Yeah. You transmute the desire for revenge into a fierce, powerful boundary setting.
I see.
It's called alchemy because it isn't magic. It requires immense heat, immense pressure, and deliberate intent to turn raw lead into gold. It is the ultimate act of taking radical responsibility for your own mental environment.
Which brings us to the ultimate visualization of all of this.
Yes, the geometry.
We have the philosophical laws, we have the mental tools like polarization, but what does this actually look like when it's fully realized in a person?
The text maps these Hermetic principles back onto the Diamond Spire framework, and it unlocks what it calls sacred geometry.
Right. When you take these opposing forces, the hot and the cold, the mentalism and the physical reality, and you map them across, up, down, and diagonally on that vertical diamond shape, the model fundamentally transforms.
It stops being a flat, static, two-dimensional diagram drawn on a piece of paper.
It springs into three-dimensional motion. The text describes it: imagine drawing that diamond, but then grabbing the top and bottom points and spinning it.
The visualization they use is a rotating ballerina in a music box.
I love that.
It's a beautiful image because it perfectly describes the energetic reality. Physics shows us that there are toroidal fields, these continuously flowing donut-shaped energy vortexes around all magnetic centers.
You see this shape around the Earth with its magnetic field.
Yeah, you see it around an apple. And you see it around human cells, our major organs, and what ancient Eastern traditions call the chakras or the dantian.
The concentrated energy centers in the body.
Exactly.
So we move from a flat diagram on a whiteboard to a breathing, spinning energy field.
Right.
If you picture that spinning diamond, the energy flows up through the center and cascades down around the outside, constantly recycling.
It's like moving from studying a static photograph of a dancer to actually watching the ballet in fluid motion. You suddenly see the momentum of the system.
But the text offers a really profound warning at this stage, doesn't it?
It really does. It argues that overanalyzing and compartmentalizing these energy centers, specifically the modern obsession with completely separating hard physical science from energetic spirituality.
Right.
That is exactly what causes dysfunction and disease in our society.
Wow.
When we forcefully isolate these parts, we stop seeing the integrated flow of the toroidal field. We break the sacred geometry.
Which means we end up with, brilliant medical doctors who don't understand the physical impact of chronic emotional states.
Yeah.
And we end up with spiritual leaders who completely ignore the practical physical realities of the human body, of rotating ballerina trips and falls.
Such a great way to put it. To achieve true mastery, to genuinely become that mover on the chessboard, you must see the integrated flow.
Everything is connected.
You must recognize that the practical actions you take at work, the thoughts you think in traffic, and the spiritual alignment you maintain in private are all the exact same energy.
They're just vibrating at different frequencies within your own rotating aspire. So what does this all mean for you, the person listening to this right now? Let's just trace the path of what we've covered.
Yeah, let's recap.
We started by realizing that the opposites in your daily tasks and in our societal structures aren't actually fighting each other.
Right, they're acting as perfect criteria, perfect mirrors holding each other accountable.
From there, we explored how understanding universal principles like polarity and cause and effect allows you to practice mental alchemy.
You don't have to be a victim of your emotional pendulum swings or the inherited scarcity mindset of the past.
You can choose to climb the ladder.
And when you do this, when you consciously apply your will to raise your vibration, your personal energy ceases to be a static, flat concept.
It becomes a living, rotating, geometric reflection of your highest potential.
And this matters profoundly to you because you are the Diamond Quintessence.
The text emphasizes a really interesting physical truth here. Your body is largely composed of water.
Right. Your thoughts, your emotions, your words, they aren't just invisible, abstract concepts floating in the ether.
They are literal vibrational frequencies.
Yes.
Yeah.
And those frequencies are actively manipulating the geometric structures of the water molecules in your body and the energetic reality around you.
Which means you have the inherent mechanical power to stop being the pawn and become the mover. Which brings me back to that mental thermostat we talked about earlier.
Oh, right.
If extreme opposites eventually meet and things like deep fear and bold courage are just different degrees of the exact same energetic substance on that thermometer, what happens if you try to fully, completely embrace the exact opposite of your greatest fear?
Oh, man.
Could your greatest fear actually just be a low-frequency, frozen version of your ultimate power? Something to think about?